One of the things our book and what we do with our blog, anything that we do, it's like we want people to go look at wildflowers and learn how incredible they are and how they need to be protected, and just, you know, be there with them.
We had been looking for showy milkweed for years, and last year we finally saw it, but it wasn't quite, I don't know, it wasn't quite in bloom the right way or whatever. We were driving up north, 65 miles an hour on. Yeah. I'm like, I think that's a showy milkweed. And we stopped, and sure enough it was.
And it was.
You don't know what you're going to see, and you may not see what you went for, but there's so much else to look at, you know. And if you don't know what you're looking at, take a picture of it. You can get back home and look it up. I mean, it's just, yeah, that's the fun of it. It's like a treasure hunt, really, for us. The thing is, with some of the orchids, they have basal leaves, so the leaves are just at the ground, and then a real skinny stalk for the tiny little blooms. So to get that in focus and that in focus, I couldn't do it. Now I have a little trick that I use. So, you know, it's called photo stacking, and you can take a photo in different focuses and then stack them all together in Photoshop. But a lot of orchids, they're just not very showy. They're not even that pretty.
And some of them are just like, really? You're an orchid? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe it. Like most people, Twayblade is like the one I was really surprised. It looked nothing like I thought an orchid would look like.
You see them, it's like, Phyllis? I mean, we just get so giddy with excitement. It's ridiculous. And we say, why are we so crazy and excited about it? But we just are. That's just how it is.
We also got crazy and excited about Robin's plantains. So I think there's a finite number of them, too. It's like, oh, check, 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 check. And some of them, you would, for example, striped coral root, you know, doesn't even look anything like, say, showy lady slipper or lily leaf twayblade. It looks like sticks of peppermint candy glowing in the woods. Lost 40.
Yep.
I do love
That's
that.
a great one.
Big old trees.
The trees are, even if there's not a lot of flowers blooming, the trees are just amazing to
And there are
watch.
orchids that grow there too. In fact, we've seen a lot of stemless lady slipper there, the pink ones.
Iron Springs Bog is a great scientific natural area. But the thing about that is, I'm always a little afraid of getting lost, so you definitely want a GPS.
We actually have lost each other along that one trail, remember?
Yeah.
Just,
she just took off, and I'm like, okay, there's no cell service. What do I do? Do I go back to my car? Has she fallen over the edge? I did hear kind of a loud, she sneezed. I thought, does that mean she went over the edge somewhere? Don't you think?
It's just, I don't know. When we went up to the big bog, when we were I was doing research for this habitat book, I fell in love with the bog. You know, I mean, the plants that grow there, they grow in very acidic, cold water. They're tough survivors. They're strangely wonderful. You know, like pitcher plants are just such interesting plants. Sundew is a little carnivorous plant, you know. And then when we got out to the end of that boardwalk, it was sort of the quietest, wildest place I'd ever been. You know, it's a really unusual situation, really unusual feeling.
See, I don't spend a lot of time on the technical stuff of photography, but the one thing I would say to people, invest in this a light shade. It's a diffuser. You probably know what it is. So they fold up and they're only about, you know, so big, but then it opens up and Phyllis has to hold it, but you can you should never shoot in the bright sunlight.
Yeah,
and
go on cloudy days if you can.
Yeah,
too,
cloudy days are great.
That. Right.
But also just shade your flower. If you're just getting the flower pictured, you don't want sunlight on it. It's too contrasty. So if it's a sunny day and I shade it, you still don't get the background, you know, like then the background's too sunny. So like a day like today is absolutely perfect. Right now you look around, there's just no contrast, so you can get a great shot. When a cloud comes over on a sunny day, Phyllis always says, run, Kelly, run, because I got to find a flower to photograph, you know, because the shade is so great. And yesterday, when we were out, we were pretty lucky because there was shade most of the day, or else if the sun came out, then a cloud came. So I would just sit and wait till the cloud came, you know. Is it coming? Yeah, it's almost there. The other thing you worry about on the prairie is the wind. So you got to go early in the morning or later in the day when the wind isn't so strong. Midday on the prairie is almost impossible to get. Whenever sun comes up, like if we're traveling and, you know, flower searching, we leave the hotel room by 5:30 or something. And for prairie shots, you got to do that. But, you know, with this shade, I've been able, we go all day, you know.
And the shade is a big step up from when I used to, like, have I got it covered for you, Kelly?
Most of my photography doesn't have as much sun, ever.
Or I mean, the light at evening.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that is pretty.
When we saw fame flower at midnight, that light, I mean, when you say golden light, that's what it was. You know, in the spring, I would say Carly, nurse strand.
Well, I love Mille Lacs Cathio
Yeah.
in the spring.
Yeah. But
That's,
then
I
when-
think that's an underutilized park. Well, they've got a little bog in there, and the
And
woods
just
are just pretty.
trilliums.
Yeah, so many
So
trilliums.
many trilliums.
And also poke milkweed. One of the last milkweeds that I was trying to find. There's 14 in Minnesota, or 13 you could find, right along the trail, and it's so cool. And it's a really odd milkweed that most milkweeds grow on the prairie, but this one's in the woods.
Prairie State Parks, it's more the SNAs.
Oh no, you know where? Glacial Lakes.
Oh, that's very
State
lovely,
Park
yeah.
is the best prairie. We pulled up there one year, and it was just, the whole hillside was purple and gold, and so like in August, it's just incredible. Yeah, it's hard to remember because we like everything.
Big Bog State Recreation Area. You know, I'd go
Yeah.
there any day. Bemidji, Lake Bemidji for that, and that really is a bog. Well, July, I think it's kind of a mix of things, and some of the places we end up in July are not necessarily state parks or even SNAs. They're
Right.
places like where someone says, "Oh, you need to go here, take this road, and you will see these orchids." So I think July ends up being more orchids.
But Savannah Portage would be good probably in July,
Yeah.
with that boardwalk
Yeah.
there. And yeah, I'm just trying to think.
What can people expect from that then? The one you just mentioned, the
Some
portage.
orchids.
Okay.
Showy lady slipper,
mhm.
pitcher plant, takes you out to a little lake.
Roscoe Prairie is a scientific and natural area, but I would send people there.
Oh yeah, that's an
It's
easy one to
You
get
can't
around
get
in.
lost.
Not too
And,
far
it's
from.
St. Cloud. The color on that prairie is just amazing in July. I would say that would be the perfect time.
And actually, in the springtime too, there are things like some of the orchids that grow there in the springtime in the wet. So it's kind of a full season place.
Yeah, yeah.
When we did our book, what is it, 4 years ago now? We really focused on where can people go that they can do that. They can walk down trails, and it was mostly state parks. You know, there's so many different wildflowers.
And I
in
think,
state
for us,
parks.
probably we just, because we haven't been going to them as much. But
Right.
Bemidji Boardwalk is about the best bang for your buck.